Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I want to do another trade video. Got a bunch of stuff in trade. I had a viewer named Bailey who talked to me through Instagram and said that he had a bunch of stuff he wanted to trade for a Buck Strider. Wanted to know if I still had one, and I did. So we worked out the trade. That is in the mail right now, off to him, and I know he will enjoy it. Buck Strider, a little bit harder to find these days. Very, very cool. If you haven't seen it before, heard about it before, I mean, I did a video, but I'm not sure how long ago that was. Basically, Strider was it. It was up there, you know, with the Sebenza at some point, $400+ knives, and you know, most cases, depending on the model, maybe get a little bit cheaper. But they were kind of hard to get. At some point, they collaborated with Buck Knives, and they created the Buck Strider. They're very popular among a lot of different police, and as well as collectors. So pretty cool, you know, knife with a lot of knife history. But yeah, I mean, I had one, didn't quite want to give it up. I wasn't looking to trade or anything, but he hit me with a picture of a bunch of awesome knives, some definite older ones I haven't seen in a long time. So I said, yeah, sure. So he did send a note, so let's go ahead and read that first. It says, "Dear Jeff, I've been watching your videos since about 2012. Throughout my teenage years, my time in the Corps, and still to this day, I look to your page for gear and knife reviews. I can still remember the time you took a man-sized pinch of chew and you got sick from it." Yeah, if you guys haven't, if you're newer to the channel, haven't seen that, that's one of the first time I ever tried dip. And yeah, I took way too much and got incredibly sick. I mean, I thought I was gonna die. It was pretty bad. But anyway, says, "Keep doing what you do. We all appreciate it. And I hope to make the Buck Strider my new EDC knife. The coins are Japanese yen," which he sends off camera here. That's pretty cool. All right, he said, "One short story. The Benchmade folding knife was something I found in a fighting hole in Okinawa." He's talking about this Benchmade here. All right, so pretty interesting story here. I just read this off camera. When I open these packages, I want to make sure that obviously there's no personal information, so sometimes I'll scan through. I actually read this story. I thought this was pretty amazing, actually. Anyway, he said, "I rolled over and felt what I thought was a weird rock. It was pitch black at the time, and as I moved the quote-unquote rock around in my hand to see some more, I felt a thumb stud. When I pushed it like you would to open it, the rock, quote-unquote, ended up being a Benchmade." So that's pretty awesome. I have to assume that it was probably another soldier's that obviously lost it at some point. But anyway, P.S. Don't know if the covers will fit, but if not, you can put them on Gus. Sincerely, Bailey. So the covers, he didn't send me covers like, you know, for my bed. He sent me some hats, which I now know are called covers. These are really, really awesome. They have the Marine Corps, you know, logos on the front. There's a boonie hat, which I love. I love wearing boonie hats, especially fishing. And then there's also this style, which is very cool. These are medium, so this one doesn't really fit me. This one I can put on my head, but it's a little too snug. But I was kind of wondering, so this is my question for Bailey, but also for all the Marines out there. Can you wear a hat with the Marine Corps logo on there if you haven't served? I don't think that's something that you can do out of respect. Even if they did fit, I'd probably wear them around the house or something. I wouldn't wear them in public just because I don't want to be misrepresented. So it's one of those things, but I'm asking all the men and women out there who served your opinion on that. Because it's kind of interesting. Actually, I mean, when I opened the box, my wife was there. She's like, "Oh, it's a really cool hat, but I don't think you can wear that." I'm like, "No, I wouldn't wear it in public if it does fit." Turns out they don't fit, so maybe I will put them on Gus. So on to the knives. So first, obviously, you guys saw the Benchmade. It's pretty used, but it's not, you know, beat up or anything. Pretty interesting, though. As far as a lot of these folding knives, there's some really cool older models. I mean, it seems like basically a lot of stuff he's gotten many years ago. Some are really dated. For example, like this. This is a copy. It's like a no-name Chinese copy, which I used to own one of these way back in the day. I would say mid-90s maybe. And this is a copy of a Benchmade Spike. Okay, clearly it's not the Benchmade version, but it's kind of cool to see that old copy. As well as, where is it? This one. All right, Master Cutlery, which I've had a bunch of stuff from Master Cutlery. I've never had this knife. This actually looks like a SOG type design. But again, totally screams 90s. All right, you can see that Master, the logo there with the mask. I don't know if you guys can make that out. Let me zoom in here. Totally 90s stuff. I mean, way back in the day when I was like, I want to say 13, 14 years old, I was buying some knives at the local, you know, mall at a kiosk. They sold a lot of Master stuff. and they'd sell them for, you know, $15, $20 a piece, and they're probably, you know, $3 knives. But this one's actually pretty solid. I mean, there's no blade plate at all. It's a nice little lockback. It's got the full rubber grips on here. It's actually a pretty cool knife, even though, you know, it's cheaper, and I'm sure the steel won't hold an awesome edge. It's a real cool blast from the past. I like it a lot. As far as this beast, if you guys notice this is a Darryl Ralph design. I want to say it's the Max. I forget. It's been a long time since I've actually seen one of these things. This is also a copy. Interestingly enough, this is made by Colt. I don't know if Darryl Ralph licensed the design or if they just kind of stole it. I don't really know. Titanium coating, I'm assuming, for the blade here. But I mean, it's huge. It's a huge knife. This is probably, I want to say, a 6-inch blade, maybe 6.5 inch. Just a liner lock. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I can get two hands on this thing. It's like a little sword. But that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. This one is a Magnum brand from Boker. Magnum is their cheaper line. And this one's also pretty interesting, kind of kukri style. It's also, you know, definitely on the larger side. Let's see what else, off camera here. If you guys can see that. This is kind of a shame because this is a Gerber, and I really like the design here, but this one has some blade play. I don't know if you guys, well, you can't hear it, but I feel some blade play up and down, which again, it's just unfortunate because it's a kind of a cool design. I don't think I've seen this Gerber one. It has one of the newer logos on here. I'm not particularly, you know, familiar with this design, but the grip, it's kind of like really hard rubber, which is kind of nice, you know, feels extra tactical, so to speak. But I haven't seen that one before. It is kind of a shame, it has a little bit of play in there. This one was really special. This was kind of like between the Benchmade and this old Spyderco. That was pretty much the trade. That's what I was looking for, you know, and he still threw in everything else as extras, which I thought was really, really generous. But this is an old Spyderco spur. All right, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the spur. It was short-lived, way back in the day. They actually did a sprint run of this, I think in 2004, but it didn't have the rubberized insert on the clip. And actually, you can see the pocket clip, there's a fatter part of the rubber on the bottom here. Okay, that's what keeps that tension against the pocket. But yeah, I mean, I want to say there was like 1,000 of these made, or 1,500, something like that, way back in the day. And I guess because of cost, they just cut it short. It was also very similar to a different model at the time as well. But just kind of interesting, a little bit of Spyderco history. You know, if you haven't particularly, you know, seen the older models, that's an interesting one as well. Then there's a KaBar model here I haven't seen before, or at least haven't owned. I probably saw it at some point. Not sure what this is offhand, but it's interesting. Another cool folder, maybe a possible review for the future. This is a Gerber Gator. I've had a few of these. This is really, really comfortable. Big old chunky rubberized handle, nice clip point blade. Just gets the job done. It's one of those things where, I mean, today's day and age, everyone's looking at their titanium frame locks and stuff, and you know, people pass up knives like this, but I grew up on knives like this. This is extremely comfortable, very usable knife from Gerber. Very cool. Then we have cold steel Raja 3, the small one, which is interesting. Or Raha is probably how it's actually pronounced, but everyone says Raja. It is the 3? Yeah, it's the 3. Very, very cool. I've had the large one. I haven't had the small version, but love myself a cold steel. Then a classic Buck 110. This one needs a little bit of love, a little bit of tarnishing on there, but just standard Buck 110. All right, totally classic knife. Love it. Speaking of Buck, there's a couple models here. There's a Buck. This one's also Buck. These two are Buck. These are models that I haven't seen before. And what's really cool is these look like the same model, just one's a lot older than the other. All right, you can see, let me zoom in. You can see from the tank stamp, of course, on the right. Buck Custom Shop. The one on the left, 503. So I'm assuming the one on the right is still a 503. Like I said, just older. All right, no markings on the back. But again, same knife, just different eras. So it's kind of cool to see that. Like those quite a bit. Very usable little pocket knives. There's two case knives here I've never seen before. Okay, these two. Particularly this one is really interesting. So first let's look at this. So you can see case on the bottom there. Okay, case XX. It's one of the older models. A P105-1L. All right, I've just never seen this model before. You know, simple little lockback, but it's kind of cool. I like seeing new things. But this one was really fascinating to me. I've never seen this case knife before. All right, and if you show this to me, I wouldn't have guessed it was a case. This has an extremely fine point on this. Very cool, same era. All right, case XX. This one P105 1.5 L. Really, really interesting. So yeah, I mean, but such an acute point on this. It reminded me of that HEA Designs Hunter. Very, very similar blade shape, but really solid. This one's in pretty darn good shape too. So that's one I might actually carry for a little bit. And then there's a couple of fixed blades here. There's a Smith & Wesson fixed blade, a SOG fixed blade. He actually threw in, I thought this was really cool. This is a Shockwave pistol grip. I don't have a Shockwave. I do have a Mossberg 500. I have a couple of them. Also fits the 20 gauge. Christina got a Mossberg 20 gauge not too long ago. And I might throw that on there just to see what she thinks of it. You know, so that was really cool. It was a nice addition. And this means a lot to me, this Zippo, right? Marine Zippo. Of course, because he served. It's just special. This will go in my collection, always to be remembered. All right, got a Smith & Wesson knife here. Whoops, took it out of the sheath already. This one's big and chunky. Haven't seen this one before, one of the Extreme Ops ones, but man, that thing, this is a hunk. This thing probably weighs 10 ounces. All right, at least. Super duper heavy knife there. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Oh, except for this one. Forgot to show this before. This is a much larger slip joint. All right, and this one is made by Chicago Cutlery. So you can see the tang stamp there, Chicago Cutlery, P19, USA. Very large. Actually, I'm going to show that. Let me zoom back in. You get much better detail zooming in. You can see the emblem there, or the shield rather. But yeah, pretty cool. A two-bladed knife. But I like it. I mean, you can see it in my hand. It is very large for a slip joint. So yeah, I think that covers it. That should be everything. I really do appreciate it. I mean, totally blown out of the water. A lot of really interesting, cool things here. So thank you so much, Bailey. I really do appreciate that. I really hope you enjoy the Buck Strider. It's an awesome knife. Again, like I said, a little bit harder to find these days, but I know he'll put it through its paces and get some good use out of it. So again, before I go, for all these soldiers out there, men and women alike, doesn't matter what branch you served at, let me know your opinion on stuff like this, like wearing you know, clothing or apparel, hats, things like that with different military emblems if you haven't served. You know, it might be different if you have a family member, you know, if your son served, their daughter served, and you're a proud parent and you wear it on their behalf, or maybe vice versa, maybe your parents served. Both my father and both my grandfathers served, all in the Army. And I'm extremely proud of that, but I have not served. All right. In fact, if you guys have seen in the past my address that's public, I use the colonel prefix. It is pertaining to my title of being a Kentucky colonel. Something I talk about all the time. Every time I give my address out, that's what I have to mention, you know, so people don't get confused with the military. I've never served, you know, so I don't want to misrepresent myself walking around with a hat, you know, with a Marine emblem on the front. I just don't think personally that's right, but I'd love to hear your feedback anyway. But anyway, that's it for now. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.